you are a mom who juggles a lot. And there are just days, maybe weeks, maybe months, where you truly do not know where in your day there would be time for a workout or for cooking and eating healthier food. But you want to find that time. You don't want it to be an excuse forever. So what can you do to carve that time out? Because it's not about, if you care about your health, you'll make the time or you'll find the time. You do care. You truly just don't have the time. And I know that because I've been there. So let's change that. I'm not going to be spitting mean quotes in your face that have no solutions. No, you're getting changes that you can make today. Let's talk about them. Hey mama, welcome to the Tough Love Mom Podcast. I know you're here because you're ready to get consistent and finally lose that weight, and you're not afraid of a little tough love. You know what to do to lose weight, but following through on those things feels impossible. You wish you could just feel like your strong, confident self again and want to be a good example for your little ones, but you get thrown off by mom guilt and the unpredictability of motherhood. It's frustrating. Taking on your journey postpartum is hard, but it's not impossible. Hey, I'm Liz, and I've been where you are. I gained a lot of weight in my pregnancies. 90 pounds and then 60 pounds. I needed to lose that weight to take control of my health and honestly just wanted to feel like myself again. With a sustainable approach to weight loss, simple consistency, and working on my mindset, I lost it all in just over a year both times. And I'm here to help you do the same. I believe that we have an ingrained ability to figure out what we need to do, make it happen, and do it in a way that awes the world. If you're ready to stop falling off the wagon, create solid routine and healthy habits, and finally feel your best inside and out, all while enjoying dino nuggets on your salad, you are in the right place. We're about to transform your journey, my friend. Get pumped up. It is tough love time. I want to give you a forewarning that you are going to have homework today at the end of this episode, so you can actually implement what you learn, because I don't want you coming here and just listening and consuming and then moving on with your day. Okay, so often we consume information without doing anything about it. So listen to this episode, then share your homework in the Tough Love Mom Squad. If you're not in there, you can join, okay? Just go to thetoughlovemomsquad.com. It's linked in the show notes for you. Got to answer a couple questions so you can get in quickly. If you don't answer the questions, your access to our group might just get delayed a few days. So answer those questions. And the cool part is about this, technology is so cool. If you're listening on a smartphone, you can click the link in the show notes, answer the questions to join, and you can keep listening while you're doing that. So again, the toughlovemomsquad.com. If you're not in there, if you are, listen to this episode and get your homework done at the end of this episode so you can actually implement what you're learning. Okay? That's what I'm here for. Okay. I will be the first to tell you that I have had days that I truly did not have time for a workout or did not have the time to eat as healthy as I would have liked. So that's why I don't love the quote, the phrase that if you care, you'll make time. And people say that to be motivating, and it's true. And it can strike that motivational chord for people sometimes. But I also think it can kind of come from a place of arrogance or just ignorance, one of the two. Because honestly, that's not how life works, as moms especially. You're here listening to this podcast, the Tough Love Mom podcast of all things, because you do care about your health. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you, well, if you care, just make the time, because what does that mean? How do you make the time when there's literally none in front of you? So we're giving you some strategies today because that's what I'm here for. And before I dive into those, it's almost, I talk to clients about this a lot, and so I needed to bring it here on the podcast, but it's almost like we're able to give ourselves grace in other areas when life happens. Like when things get kind of crazy, we're much able to be forgiving of ourselves when things get a little thrown off, but not as much in our journeys. Like that need for doing it perfectly can override our ability to say, whoa, life happened. I wasn't as prepared as I thought I would be. And so I'm just going to move on. When these circumstances chill in like a couple days, I'll just get back to what I was doing instead of having this layer of guilt to wash over you, right? We somehow, for some reason, do that in our journeys so much more often than every other area of our life. And I don't know why, But we need to let go of that. We need to normalize the fact that life does have unpredictable moments that can cause a lack of time for the things we do want to prioritize. And we just have to accept that and be forgiving of ourselves when it does happen. But we're here for solutions today. So what can you change so you don't constantly feel like you have no time for your workouts or for eating healthier? First thing. Oh, the planner in me loves this one, because the first thing you can do is plan, or plan better. If you're doing this, if you are planning, if you own a planner, if you use a family calendar, you probably already do this. You're just not applying it to your journey necessarily. But when you do plan, you're able to see things like, oh, wow, this day is a lot more packed than usual. And maybe it's a rest day instead of a day I go for like my 45-minute workout at 5 a.m. Oh, we're traveling on this day. This is a weekend we're out of town, so we're going to be in the car for 8 hours on Friday. Instead of trying to, go for my 30-minute walk in the afternoon, because I don't know when we're going to get there, I'll do 10 minutes of yoga in the morning, or maybe instead of running for 45 minutes on that day, I will take a rest day. All planning is being proactive about what hopefully will happen. So if you have days that you're going to anticipate will be more full, take that into account and plan accordingly, pivot accordingly in your journey, so you don't get to that day, get frustrated with yourself for not being able to show up the way you wanted to, when you weren't in that mind frame going into the week saying, oh, I know this day and this day are more packed than usual, so I'm going to pivot or shift what I plan to do for my journey on that day so I don't feel like I'm falling off. Okay, talk about an easy way to avoid guilt and frustration, and again, feeling like you have no time. Because if you just plan ahead, and instead for planning for something that's longer or takes more energy or more time, instead of planning something in that will take that on a day that's busier, you're avoiding that problem from the get-go by just planning ahead and looking at your days and saying, where will I be a little off and can I adjust before we even get there? Okay. The second change you can make is a day-to-day change. Cut out misused time. I don't want to call it wasted time, because we are most likely doing something almost every moment of the day, but some of it could probably be used better. So you got to find out where that time is in your day. And all you have to do to find that is a time audit. How do you do a time audit? Get a piece of paper, write down what's going on and when it's going on in your day, like what you genuinely are doing. This takes honesty. If you're going to lie about it to yourself, don't do a time audit, because it won't work. This is pointless. So be honest with yourself about when you're doing what, how much time you spent doing it. I recommend doing this for at least 2 days, so you kind of can get averages in case, certain things crop up on different days. And then evaluate. Sit down with those pieces of paper and say, okay, how am I spending my time? You might find that you're scrolling your phone a lot more than you realized, or watching TV, or you might just find that literally every single minute of the day is being used. And so you can ask yourself, what can I take off my plate? Am I overcommitted? Am I misusing a lot of time when I thought I wasn't misusing as much as I thought? Woo! Because in that case, if you're filling every single minute with commitments, or if you're doing something for way longer than you thought you were, you likely feel stressed all day, every day. So doing this time audit, you will find time, which is a beautiful thing. And the last change you can make is replacing hindering habits with helpful ones. This takes no time, which is great because you don't have time, right? So if you don't have time, I want you to point out and find, and this is great because it kind of pairs with the time audit, what things you're doing that are hindering your journey, and replace them with helpful habits or helpful things you can do instead. You're simply swapping. Now, instead of spending time doing things or consuming things that are hurting your progress and your health, you're swapping those for helpful things. And again, it coincides with a time audit. So for example, because I think this is better understood with some examples, TV. You watch one episode on Netflix. That's like what, 43 minutes? Okay, swap one of those episodes for a workout. This is my personal favorite, ordering the Kale Crunch side salad instead of French fries at Chick-fil-A. That's my favorite one. I do that every time we go. So I'm getting some veggies in instead of eating fried French fries. Super simple swap. Literally no extra time. Because I'm probably going through Chick-fil-A because I don't got no time that day. Or, here's a great one. Instead of waiting in the drive-through coffee line, and getting something that's chock full of a ton of calories and a ton of unhealthy things for you, syrups and sugars and who knows what else, you could just make it at home. And yeah, I said it. And yes, I do drive through the drive-through and get coffee sometimes, but sometimes would be the key word there. It's not often. It's not every day. Okay? This concept, replacing unhelpful habits with more helpful ones, reminds me, it always brings to mind 1 Corinthians 10:23. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Like, we have free will. We can go do what we want. We can go put in our bodies, put in our minds, do with our habits what we want, but it's not always beneficial. So swap some of those things. If you don't have time, make some swaps. Make like 1 or 2 at a time. They don't need to be drastic, but they do make gradual progress when you do that, okay? So, your homework, as promised, because I truly want you being impacted by this podcast. Yes, I have ways you can work with me that you would be investing in, but you're investing your time listening here, and you're listening to this when you say you have no time, so I want to honor that and make you do the work. So, and fun fact, did you know that what I just talked about, wanting you to truly be impacted and truly make change, that's why I stopped posting on social media so much, because it exists to keep you on there. And me posting engaging content, well, I'm sure it's helpful and impactful on many moms. It was. The way your brain is getting false hits of dopamine simply by scrolling, all you were going to do was keep scrolling and double tapping. And I just could not continue to contribute to a habit that ultimately does take away from your journey, right? Like I said, scrolling is a big time waster. When you do that time audit, you might notice, well, I'm doing that way more than I thought I was. And I just didn't. It felt so wrong for me to continue to contribute to that, even if it was still being helpful. It's like, okay, what really is 15 to 30 seconds of a reel going to do for you? When you can listen to 15 minutes of a podcast, do the homework, and actually make change, right? So I'm proud of you for being here. And now getting to the end of the episode and applying. So let me remind you of these 3 changes. Number 1, plan. Number 2, cut out misused time. Do that time audit, right? And the 3rd change is replace hindering habits with helpful ones. You want to know what your homework is? Pick one. Let me say that again. Pick one. And come tell us in the Tough Love Mom Squad what it is, right? The toughlovemomsquad.com. If you're a member, great. Come in there, post it up, let us know. You can just post in the group. And if you're not yet, join and then get your homework posted up in there and be specific, okay? When you're sharing your homework, don't just say, I'm doing planning. I want you to go plan your week or plan the rest of the week, because I know it's a Thursday. And so share what your week or your next few days will look like and what is doable for your journey when you do have time to do things specifically for your health, okay? That's what you're doing. Tell us about it. If you're going to choose the time audit and, reworking the misused time to cut out that misused time, do the time audit for a day or 2 and then share your takeaways. Share what you learned about how you're spending your time. The other change is identifying some hindering habits and replacing them with helpful ones. And I want you to share, what are those hindering habits and what are you going to replace that with? Tell us in the group. I'm so excited to hear how you implement and to see you in the Tough Love Mom Squad. It's a great place to be. We've got exciting stuff coming for you guys this year, so go do that homework and get after it. Before you go, thank you for spending this time with me on the Tough Love Mom podcast. If this episode encouraged you in any way, the number one way you can thank me is to leave a review letting me know how the show has impacted you. Then send this episode to another mom friend, or take a screenshot, post it on social media, and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me on this journey to impact thousands of moms. I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you, sister. Until next time, get after it.